Hey friends, it's Jasmine. I hope you all are doing well. Today I am going to show you something that may or may not be for everybody, okay? So I'm just gonna preface it off by saying as we are shifting into the fall season, as we're moving through September, into October, going into Libra season, using apples and spells is something that I really like to incorporate into my practice. And typically with apples, I will do an apple hex or an apple love spell. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can perform an apple hex. Okay, so if hexes are not your thing, if you don't believe in hexes or you don't want to practice hex work, this video may not be for you, and that's okay. This video doesn't have to be for you. You don't have to subscribe to everything that I do. You don't have to support everything that I do. That's totally fine. If hexes are not your thing, fine. That's totally fine. If you want to learn about hexes but maybe not really do hexes, that's fine and valid too. Or if you do practice left-hand magic and you are interested in learning more about hexes, then maybe you'll find this video informative. And always remember that whenever you're looking at spells, it's totally fine to kind of incorporate another witch's work, but make sure that you always add your own je ne sais quoi or your own kind of energy onto the spell to really make it your own. So without further ado, let's get right into what ingredients you're going to need for this apple hex. Okay, so what you are going to need for this apple hex. Of course, the first thing that you're going to need is going to be an apple, okay? You can use whatever kind of apple you prefer, yellow, red, green apple. I like to use more of the red apples personally. I'm going to be using this one, which I've already put some symbols here on this apple. I like to give my apple hexes little eyes, all-seeing, watching eyes for the hex. So you're gonna carve into the apple skin with a utensil. You can use a ritual dagger like an athame, or you could just use a pen or a knife or anything that you can use to carve in your intentions into the apple. I'm using my silver stag ritual dagger. So you're going to just carve into the apple here, put your symbols. You can write the person's name into the apple if you want. You could write a business name into the apple if you want. But the point of the apple hex is to specifically get justice and vengeance. And the point of this specific apple spell is to conjure a servitor over somebody to make them feel like they are being watched and paranoid, and to promote anxiety within someone and mess with their mind. Okay, that's what this apple hex is going to be all about. So that's why I like to carve the eyes in here and the pentacle and the person's name, and also a personal sigil of empowerment. So you're going to need an apple and a knife. Okay, you're also going to want to get a chime candle. I am using a black chime candle here. For me, black is a very powerful, very spiritual, sacred, protective color. And I like to do my apple hexes on a dark moon. So this is essentially where there's no moon in the sky. And right now we currently have a dark moon in Virgo. And one of the reasons why it's so beneficial to work your left hand or baneful magic on a dark moon is because it makes it much more difficult to actually trace. If you are trying to do hex work, especially on a practitioner, chances are they are going to find out, and you need to be prepared for that. You know, if you want them to know that you've hexed them and mess with their mind that way, then you might not want to do it on a dark moon. You might want to do it on a full moon. But in my tradition, doing the hex work on a dark moon is when we do our hex work. Now, you can also just meditate on a dark moon, do some shadow work on a dark moon, do some reflection or relaxation on a dark moon, or if there is hex work to be done, the dark moon is one of the best times to do it. This dark moon specifically is a dark moon in Virgo. Virgo is that earth motherer, nurturing, very maternal caregiver, very critical, very much attention to details. And so I am working this hex while the moon is dark in Virgo because I want to incorporate that critical attention to detail aspect of that zodiac into this spell, because I want this person to feel watched and paranoid and concerned and worried and feeling like there's something looking at them or staring at them, or like there's lots of eyes all over the place watching them, to almost kind of second guess or question their own reality. So, like I said, this is not a spell for everyone, and that's okay. But if you're interested in learning about hex work, then you might like this. So get you a black candle. You're also going to want to carve into this candle, okay? You can write the person's name. You know, you can write energies that you're wanting to incorporate into here. Like you could put the current zodiac, the current moon phase. You could put the sun, moon, and rising sign of the target for the hex. And if it's a place that you're hexing instead of a person, or a business that you're hexing instead of a person, then you could put the address or the longitude and latitude locations on here. Because this one specifically is going to be for a specific individual. So this is more of a hex being placed on a person's spirit, but you could also place a hex on a place or an item. So lots of different ways that you can kind of spin this. Get you a candle. So you have your athame, your ritual dagger, you have your apple, you have your black candle. You can use any color of your choosing. I'm recommending using a black candle because that's going to represent the dark moon, and that's going to represent your baneful intentions being veiled, sacred, shrouded, and protected. You're also going to need a charcoal disc. You can get these little charcoal discs at a lot of like hookah bars, smoke shops, metaphysical stores, but get you a little charcoal disc. And then you're also going to need 9 rusty nails. So here's what I'm using. The reason why you want these nails to be rusty is it's just going to add that element of rust and the chemical compound of rust and things breaking away and, you know, deteriorating and becoming decrepit into the spell work. And you can actually make your own rusted nails by just taking some nails and letting them soak in water for a moon cycle or two, and that will create that rust that you want for this spell, if you don't just have rusty nails laying around. Okay. You're also going to need a little cauldron. This is my little cauldron. So make sure that you have, it doesn't necessarily have to be a cauldron, but you can use any sort of fire safe container. So it doesn't have to be a little miniature cast iron cauldron. I believe I did get this one on Amazon though for like maybe 20 bucks. Okay. And you can use this for a lot of different spell work or burning loose incense or things of that nature. So it's definitely nice to have a cauldron, but it doesn't have to be a cauldron. Using a cauldron though does give that correspondence of what the cauldron corresponds to, of that sacred goddess womb and that pot of medicine and magic. Now, my last and final ingredient, that is one of my secret ingredients, so I won't go into too much detail here, but I'll kind of give you the gist of it. This is my own personal blend, and this is my Ancestor Incense. So some of the things that you're going to find in here are going to be fall leaves. When the leaves fall, I like to collect them and put them into this specific incense powder. There's also cinnamon and clove and garlic in here. And this is very much a Samhain, very much an ancestor, very much a spirit medium, invocational incense. So you can create your own using your own recipe. But like I said, some traditional ingredients would be fall leaves, garlic, cinnamon, nutmeg, clove. Those would be some traditional ingredients. You can also incorporate personal items in here, hair, skin, nails, as well, okay? Now, that is all you're going to need for this hex. You can have a very, very powerful hex and not use, a bookload of ingredients, okay? Remember that witches in the past used what they had. So don't be afraid to look around your house and just see what you have. You can use herbs from your kitchen cabinet. You can use, hardware tools just that you have laying around the house. You don't have to use a big ritual dagger. You could easily do this same spell with a butcher knife or a kitchen knife, So don't be afraid to use what you have. So the first thing that you're going to want to do to prepare for this spell is you're going to want to carve your candle, like I said earlier, and your apple. So make sure that you put the target's name or the location on both of these items and that you carve into them with intention. So really push your energy into the item. This is sympathetic magic because these are going to be representatives in the spell. So really use your ritual blade, whatever it might be, and really push your intention into the work that you are doing. You know, what is your intention for this hex? My intention for this hex is for this person to feel watched. That's why we put eyes on the apple. My intention for this is to confuse them or second guess themselves or feel anxious, paranoid, or that everyone is watching them. That's my intention. So that is what I pushed into the apple and the candle here. Now, what you are going to do then is you are going to fire up your charcoal and you are going to burn some of this incense. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a spirit invocation incense. So if in this hex, we are going to be conjuring a spirit over somebody and having the spirit do the work for us. What I'm going to do then is bless or anoint your items in the smoke here. So make sure that you get that item completely covered in that smoke. And if you watched my 3 C's of witchcraft, then you know that this is consecrating an item for ritual use. So then what I'm going to do is take some of this herb, this loose incense powder here, and I'm going to put it in my hand, and I'm going to push my negative intentions into the powder. And then we are going to rub this powder into the apple and really push it into the cracks that we made while carving it. So rub that all in the apple.
Hex work is dirty work, you guys, so don't be afraid to get your hands dirty.
Push all of that in there. And even while you are doing this, you want to be praying those intentions over this item. You want to be calling on your servitor, spirits that you work with, to aid you in this. So it should look something like this. Now what you want to do is have your curse, your verbal invocation that you're going to be saying out loud. And you're going to take your 9 nails and you are going to say that hex. You know, you can write a poem or you can find hex work to utilize to where the power of spoken word can then be said over the item. And while you do that, each time you say it, you're going to say this hex 9 times. And with each time you say it, you're going to pierce the apple with a rusty nail. Once you have your nails poked through the apple, it should look something like this. Then you're going to take your ritual knife and you're going to carve the top of it just right here. And we don't need, you know, too large of an opening. You just want a small opening to be able to put your candle in, because we are going to be using this apple and burning our candle into the apple. So you can then take out these apple chunks here and save those little chunks, because we're going to use that as an offering to thank our spirit servitor for haunting this person. Okay, so save those delicious little pieces of forbidden fruit. Then you're going to take your candle. What I like to do is take a lighter to the bottom of the candle to get a really nice wax seal. So I'm going to be dropping some of this wax that melts off the bottom of the candle onto the candle. So it should look something like so. Then you're going to place that candle inside of the apple. Like so. Now what you're going to do is you're going to say those invocations of baneful intentions again and speak it over the candle and visualize in your mind this conjuration haunting this person and reaping strife throughout their mind. So go ahead and light your candle and speak your intentions over the candle. While you are doing that, make sure that you are also still burning your spirit smoke.